looking like a new man, looking lean, looking mean.
Yeah, getting there.
I think the beard's a bit longer as well since we last spoke.
Nah, just the face is smaller. I called you a scammer and said, I don't think this is going to work. It sounds too good to
Yep,
be true.
I
Um,
remember.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So sorry, sorry, Shannon.
No, it's all right.
Um, but we had a death in the family of my grandfather passed away, and that was plaguing my mind. And then we had a my wife's best friend actually passed away, and she's our age. Well, I don't know about
Yeah,
yourself,
I
Shannon. When I say
remember.
our, I say myself and my wife. We're in our early 40s. And this girl who passed away had just turned 40 a couple of months prior to her passing. And that made me think about, myself and my kids and my situation and my health. And that was when I was, as you said, stepping on the scale, looking at myself going, Dan, you really need to do something about this. You go through life when you're a kid, you think you're bulletproof and you think that you could, climb a mountain and then proceed to just jump off and land on 2 feet. Like that, that's how you think, and you always think to yourself, oh, there's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow, I'm not doing it today. There's always tomorrow. Then it actually
Yeah,
happened to me and you realize, okay, you're not bulletproof. You need to think about it because the next person could potentially be you. And like in my case, I've got two little kids and a wife who depends on me. I need to do something about this. I'm not bulletproof. Tomorrow is not a guaranteed thing. My old man is still alive. He's got
yeah.
diabetes. He's got high blood pressure. He's got heart problems. He's massively obese. He's got problems with his knees. He's had both hips replaced. Like he's only 60 something and he's falling apart. He's 24 years my senior. I've got the privilege to look 24 years in the future right now and go, that's where I'm going to end up if I do nothing. That's the
Mm.
guarantee right there. Because the genetics is there. As we all know, genetics plays a huge part in your life, but you can put in the right program and actually look after yourself and not so much buy yourself the extra time, but give your body the fighting chance to be able to avoid that sort of thing. So I had the
Makes sense.
privilege of being able to see that and go, that's not where I want to end up. I want to be
Powerful.
there for my kids and my wife. Physical, I was tired all the time, pissed off all the time, angry with myself, angry with the world, wanted answers and retribution from everybody and everything, selfish. Um, you know, that the physical part is an easy one to answer. Mentally, it's different. Mentally, it was a roller coaster. Some days you would feel on top of the world. Some days, because you're not looking after yourself. So you're using external factors to make yourself feel better, whether it be eating a large meal or going off and doing something silly or whatever. So you can make yourself, and it's only temporary, obviously, because pleasure is a false god, but you're essentially using external factors to make yourself happy. So, I feel miserable at the moment. I'm going to have, I don't know, an ice cream or something like that. You feel temporarily, you feel good, and as I said, your mental wave is all over the place. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, before this, as I said, overall it wasn't good. Was not a good place to be. It's not sustainable and it's not healthy. So yeah, I think my weight, you know, compounding my energy levels, which were already bad, but my weight on top of all of that, slowing me down, not being able to play with my kids for long periods of time. Um, I'm trying to be as active as I can in my kids' lives.
Yep.
And yeah, the one thing that was really holding me back, that was really upsetting me, was looking around and seeing other dads being active in their kids' lives, and me sitting there going, I've been running for 5 minutes and I'm fucking exhausted. What the hell is wrong with me? And then, of course, you sit on the scale or stand on the scale, or you look in the mirror and you go, yeah, look, Dad, this is, you know what's wrong with you. Don't be a don't lie. You know what's wrong with you. You need to do something about it. But yes, definitely not being able to keep up with my kids. And that's not fair on
Okay.
them.
Was it affecting your work at all?
No, I wouldn't say so. Maybe from an aesthetic point of view, maybe, because you're around other people who look after themselves. I mean, most of the execs and the senior management that I hang around with, I wouldn't I wouldn't say anyone at the company that I work with is overweight or even obese or anything like that. Everyone is, they're not bodybuilders or anything like that. They don't look anything like yourself, Shannon, or your clients, but um, for lack of a better word, they just look normal. So to be the only big guy in the room, I don't belong. This isn't right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it gives you a bit of a knock.
And how about relationships? How is that affecting your relationship with your wife and things like that?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely did. The energy levels uh, were quite low, so it did affect. I must admit that was one of the huge differences I noticed in losing the weight and becoming healthier, is that the intimacy between myself and the missus is increased exponentially.
You'd be
I,
surprised how often I hear that. Literally had a call with a client yesterday, and he said the exact same thing. He was, overweight as well. Him and his wife were sleeping in different rooms. They'll go on
yeah,
the bed in
wow,
different bedrooms, and now he's lost all that weight, and the relationships with his wife is way better, and they've just had a newborn as well. So,
yeah,
it pretty much
wow,
saved his marriage.
yeah, nice.
So, yeah, so it's a lot more common than you think.
Um, and then when I came back from America, I did my usual, every year I go in to see the doctor and get bloods done and get her to tell me what's right and what's wrong. And yeah, when she told me the news about my liver markers, my high blood pressure, my insulin resistance, and all that, that was when I said, okay, something needs to change. I was becoming insulin resistant. My blood pressure was very, very high. Like I was getting readings of like 160 over 120. So they were astronomically high. The doctors brought that down with medication, and now I'm taking the tiniest. I'm still taking pressure medication, but it is the tiniest. I've actually said to the doctor, where do we go from here? And she said that she can't give me any lower of a dose, so it's either this or nothing. So, yeah, kudos to you.
Okay.
But yeah, insulin resistant, blood sugars were always high. My blood pressure was high, and my liver enzymes were through the roof. They were double the high end of normal. A couple of years ago, I managed to drop from 110 down to 93 kilos.
Yep.
Uh, and I didn't have much of a change in terms of energy or feeling or anything like that. I still felt like crap, even though
Okay.
the weight, I'd lost a decent amount of weight. Yeah, and then I stagnated. I hit a plateau and decided to take a break. And, as you know, 1 week turns into two, 2 weeks turns into a month, and so on and so forth. Next thing you know, a year's gone past and I'm back to where I started. I've never had personal trainers before, so this was the first time um, into that situation. I tried calorie counting before, just doing it off weighing food and Googling things, what the calories are in certain foods, or, you know, looking at the back of packaging and seeing what it's, and doing
Yep.
the calculations myself, just with an Excel spreadsheet. That wasn't very successful. I got a bit of success with a program called Noom, which is an app you download, which is essentially a glorified calorie counter.
How much was
And
Noom?
that's $200 for 6 months, I think it was. What the app really lacks is the fact that it gives you no coaching. There's no real advice. There's nobody you can really turn to when things aren't working.
Yep.
Um, when you do turn to them asking for help, the help that you get is pathetic.
Like
So
generic?
they were suggesting, well, you need to eat a bit more in terms of starchy foods. I'm like, how does that help? Like,
Mm.
what does that mean, dude? I need actual help. What am I doing wrong? They won't point out these things. I must admit, cutting soft drink out of my diet, Coca-Cola and caffeine. I mean, I don't drink coffee or tea or anything like that. So my caffeine addictions were V. So I was 2 bottles of V in the morning, first up. And then I was a can of Coke with dinner. So the caffeine hits that I was getting on a daily basis were
Yeah,
sky high.
the old tradie
Um,
diet, hey?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to when I was a carpenter.
Yep.
that's how I used to get up every morning and two bottles of E every morning, and yeah, as I said, can
Yeah.
of Coke with dinner. I think the biggest problem with the fitness industry, which you've actually addressed it really, really well, is the fact that they only ever show you the best of the best. So when you don't achieve that, you feel miserable and you give up.
Mm.
So as we all know, the top 0.1% of the content that's on YouTube or whatever, or podcasts or whatever, is the stuff that brings eyeballs. It's the stuff that brings the ears in to listen. So no one cares so much about the guys who only made it 75% of the way or 50% of the way. And because that doesn't get displayed on people's websites, because that doesn't get talked about in people's podcasts or doesn't get shown on TikTok, or there's no comparison, the only thing you ever see is the person who used to be 150 kilos and now can bench press a house 5 months later. And what you don't realize is that that person doesn't work. That person has all the time in the world, doesn't have any kids, doesn't have a wife, and can focus solely on spending 8 to 10 hours in the gym, jogging every day. And then you go, oh, if I don't achieve this, I don't measure up. Why am I ever bothering? So a lot of people start the programs, don't achieve those sorts of results, and then go, this is shit. This is never going to
Okay.
work. But they don't. By having the program that you have, Shannon, you actually focus on, as you said, the client. What is it that you want to achieve? Okay, well, this is what it's going to take. This is the effort that you need to put in if you want to do it in this period of time. Otherwise, we're going to do it over a longer period of time, and you can still achieve your program is realistic. It's not, I'm promising the world, and it's your fault because you didn't make it. Um, so it's, yeah, as I said, don't get me wrong, it's still been a demanding program, um, but it's a lot more feasible, I would say.
Yep.
Whereas the stuff you see online is not, it's not realistic. I realized that I don't know it all. I I have a financial advisor who advises me on the best course of action for my financial life. I have an accountant who looks after all of my taxes and all of my those bits and bobs. I have friends who are in the trade who advise me on what the best plumbing bits are, or electrical, or if I wanted to get solar panels for that. Like, I've got advice coming in left, right, and center. I didn't have a health advisor. I had the internet. I had Google. And let's be
Mm.
honest, I mean, the answers are there, but if you don't know what you're looking for, you're essentially looking for a needle in a stack of needles. Like, you don't know what's right, what's wrong. You don't know if I don't know, for lack of a better word, the TikTok that you're watching is BS, or if it's true, or if it's sustainable, or if it's going to work for you. And I mean, we all know you don't lose 10 kilos overnight. So sometimes you could be on the right path, but because it's just you doing the research, the only person's opinion that you have is yourself. And it's very easy to fall into that negative
Mm.
spot. So then you've watched something or you've researched something and you've tried it for a week and nothing changes. And you think, okay, well, that doesn't work for me. I've got to try something else. But if you've got a coach who's telling you this is the right path and nothing changes in a week, you can turn around to that coach and say, well, why hasn't this changed in a week? And the coach will say, well, the body's making adjustments, or maybe it's just you've got a bit of extra water in your body. Who knows? But there are reasons, and that gives you the reassurance. And that goes, okay, all right, I need to shut up. I need to get out of my own head. I just need to follow the program and stick to it. So you're not chopping and changing. So having that, yeah, I wouldn't even call you a trainer. For me, it's just a health advisor to actually say, Daniel, this is what you should be doing. We've done your blood tests. We've done this for hundreds of clients before. We know what we're doing. Stick with the program. If adjustments need to be made, we'll make them. Otherwise, let us make the decision for you. You just, as you say before, Shannon, just execute. Fear that I was going to end up back at square one. That
Okay.
was what I was petrified. It's not even fear. I was petrified that I was
Okay.
going to not so much the financial thing, but invest the time, sacrifice the time at home, sacrifice the financial, sacrifice the motivation, sacrifice everything to focus on this program and then end
Okay.
up no better off. That was what I was petrified of.
So if you're hesitant about investing and then failing again.
Correct.
Okay.
Generally, it's feedback from others who have done the program before or used the product before or used the service before. Um, I try not to take the salesman or the sales pitch at face value, um, simply because anybody can talk themselves up. You know, you had, I think there was one client there, I think his name was Arthur, who was talking about that, you know, he didn't follow the diet 100%. He'd followed the diet,
Yep.
you know, 80% or something like that. He'd still managed to lose weight. He didn't get to his goal, but he was at least being honest and saying, look, yeah, I could have done better. But I didn't follow the program completely, but I still achieved something. If you're willing to be honest and go, look, yes, you can achieve something, but you know, I've actually got clients. Not all of my clients are supermodels. I've got some clients who have struggled with the system because they're human, and you're willing to show those faults. That reassures me that, you know, Shannon isn't just some business dude who's trying to churn stuff out. He's actually legitimately trying to help people. He's willing to show the you know the weaknesses in the armor, that sometimes it doesn't work depending on the client's efforts. But then he's also got the clients that show, if I follow the program completely, look at how well you can do. So having that spectrum of clients and is fantastic, and that was a big selling point. And then me trying to do everything myself wasn't working, and then sitting down with you and you saying to me, Dan, we've done this before. We can make this work. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be a difficult road. But if you stick with us, you stick with the program. This is what we do for a living. We're here to help you out. I think we had 3 catch-up meetings. I think it was 3. Um, and the first one I was like, yeah, this is crap. This is BS. But then the second one, it sort of started to sink in. And the part that actually made me take the plunge was a video that you had of one of your clients. And you were, I can't remember which one it was, but he was sitting down and you're having a chat with him, and you had mentioned the whoop that we wear.
Mm.
Um, and in this video, your client starts using his hands to talk, and I see his hand go up, and he's actually he's got the whoop on him. And I saw
Yeah.
that, and I went, okay, this isn't staged. This is legitimate. So, I mean, anybody can
Okay.
doctor up videos, but the fact that this guy was actually, I mean, it's just a minor thing, but the fact that the guy was wearing the equipment that you specify tells me that it's not a doctored up video. Whereas, you know, as I said, you can look at fake videos and you can go, okay, that's just a staged actor, somebody who's, you know, a model or something like that. It's too good to be true. Yeah, okay. But it's little subtle things. And then when I saw that, I went, okay, this is a legitimate program. Shannon's not he's not bullshitting. Um, it's a worthwhile investment. And I actually did the program for 2 reasons. One was for my health. But then the other one was the negative part of my brain saying, do it and let's prove Shannon wrong and prove that his diet doesn't actually work. So I had a bit of a, I
Okay.
had the, so it's, yeah, it's a weird way of thinking, but it's just, it was a frustration thing of getting in there and go, this isn't going to work, but let's just do it, because then you'll be able to have the bragging rights to say, see, Shannon, it doesn't work, but it does. So either way, I ended up, it's a positive for me. I spin it in 2 ways.
Yep.
And it worked. The program is, yeah, as I said, it's been difficult, but it's been worth it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for you, it works, so you
Yeah.
can't say, "Haha, I was right."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, correct. But I can at least look in the mirror and go, ha ha, it's actually working. This is
Yeah.
fantastic. So either way, it
Exactly.
turns out to be a good result. I've had 3 events that were incredibly eye-opening. And the first one was with my son. Um, we were at the park. So I've got a park across the road from my place.
Yep.
And I don't know why it was. We decided to go for a walk. And as we're walking along the footpath, he decides to be cheeky and he walks, sort of jogs away. And he's done this before. He jogs away and he sort of looks back at me and gives me this look as if to say, "Oh, you're not going to catch me." And then he decides to run. And of course, a year ago, 6 months ago, there was no way in hell I could keep up with him, and he knew that. And I hadn't actually started jogging at that point on the program yet. So I hadn't actually, I mean, I tried. When I say tried, I'd half-assed tried. It wasn't really much of a try. Um, but then that day, when he sort of ran off on me. I mean, he's 10 years old. And he ran off on me. I thought, no, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna chase after him. And I did. Not only did I catch up to the little bugger, but I passed him and kept running and had the energy to continue jogging to the point where he's actually screaming at me, going, "Dad, stop. I can't keep up. Dad, I'm running out of breath." And I'm sitting there going, "Mate, you're 10. I'm 41. What's wrong with you? Let's go." So that was incredible. That feeling was akin to winning the lottery, Shannon.
How far into the program were you when that happened?
Um, I'd say probably 2.5 months. The second time the program surprised me was when I did the 4K. So there was one morning I get to the gym. So every single time I had an cardio session assigned to
Hmm.
me, I was just plain and simple. I'll be honest with you, I was just skipping it. I was just going, look, I'm just going to walk on the treadmill. That's my cardio. It is what it is. I can't run. I'd more or less given up on it. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I walked into the gym. I had a cardio session and I'm looking at this it's the self-powered treadmill. So you have to actually walk on it for the belt to move.
Oh yeah.
And I look at the treadmill and I go, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to give it a go. I mean, I tried before, the best I'd gotten was I was able to jog for 6 minutes, but then I'd have to like sit down for 15 minutes. I was exhausted. And something in that morning, something inside me snapped and just went, "Dan, just stop fucking around and just get on the treadmill and actually put in an effort." And I did. I jogged and jogged and jogged. And I've actually saved it on my phone. Um, what did I do? Uh,
And you got 4Ks without stopping?
4Ks without stopping. I jogged for 33 minutes and 8 seconds. Yeah,
That's
I
so
mean it's
good,
a
man.
slow jog. It's an old man's jog. I get it. I mean I know you could probably do a lot more than that, but it's an old man's jog. I didn't stop, and I actually felt good at the end of it. I got off the treadmill and I went, "Holy crap! I've still got energy to burn. How is this possible?" Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed standing in front of the giant fan that they've got because I was sweating like you wouldn't believe. But um, yeah, that was a huge moment. I was just sitting there going, "This is incredible. 4K. I've managed to run." I mean, it's not a sprint, as I said, it's a jog, but yeah, it was fantastic.
I'm not sure
And
if
then,
I'm not sure if you're
yeah,
aware
go
of
on.
this, but a self-powered treadmill, that's actually harder than running on the normal treadmill or running outside because you have to physically pull it along. So the fact you're
Okay.
able to run 4Ks on that without stopping, that's an even bigger achievement than if you're running on a normal treadmill without stopping.
Okay, I thought it was harder to do it. Okay, all right. Well, that's thanks.
What was
And
the other moment?
well, the other one was about a week and a half later, um, which I think I messaged yourself and Sharon about. So, the app had a cardio session again, jogging 5K, and I
Hmm.
went again. Something inside me that morning had snapped and went, "You've got to do this, Dan. You've got to push through." Um, and yeah, 38 minutes, 42 seconds later, I've managed to clock up 5K jog nonstop. Again, had
So
energy
good.
to burn. Um, and to give you an idea, back in my high school days, we're talking 2002, when I was in year 12, I was planning to join the army because I didn't really have any career aspirations. And in year 12, I was training to join the army. And back then, so you're talking about a 17-year-old kid who was training hard, didn't have the ability to actually jog 5K when I was 17. So I'm fitter now than I was when I was 17 years old. The fact that I can jog 5K and get off the treadmill and go, yeah, that wasn't too bad. It just blows my mind. Yeah, Shannon. So that's
So
the
good.
three main things that have absolutely blown me away with this program. Yeah,
Massive
those
wins.
three. Yeah, big time, big time. That's the hardest part of this program. Um, because I've been the way I've been for so long, and I've never really had an ideal version of myself. I and still to this day, I don't know what's possible. I don't know how far to push.
Let's
I'm
say if you
planning.
knew it was possible, that version of yourself, if you knew it was possible no matter what does that version look like?
Well, it's the sort of person who has boundless energy to be able to run around with his kids, to be able to take the missus out to, you know, walks on the beach or romantic dinners or catch up with friends or kick the soccer ball around with his mates, or, hey dad, can we go ride bikes? Yeah, fuck yeah, let's go ride bikes. Let's go and do it. Let's be active, not the, oh, I'm too tired, let's do it tomorrow. You've seen my progress photos. I've got a really strong tan line,
Yeah,
because
I did notice that.
I'm always wearing my singlet. I never take it
Yep.
off. Um,
Yep.
so, because again, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I said I'm not really embarrassed or anything. I just know that that's not something people want to see, so I just never take it off. But um, to be able to look at myself in the mirror and just be content, be able to confident enough that I can go down to the beach and not have to worry about how I look. I can just take my shirt off and get a bit of a tan. So yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been fantastic. I must admit that.